Welcome to The Engaging Life, a podcast about using engagement equity to improve your relationship building skills in your personal and professional life. And now, here are your hosts, Brandon Suba and Angela Cheney.
Hello, everyone. Angela Cheney and
Brandon Suba.
Not sure why I did the introduction again there. That's what we do for the other thing.
Well,
here we are.
We're open. And hey, if you don't
Here
know
we are.
what the other thing is she's talking about, that is on Facebook. We're on Instagrammies.
Correctamundo.
Correctamundo. We do little short snippets to tell you what we're talking about this week.
And we're both a little loopy today for some reason, so bear with us.
It is nice out.
It's beautiful out.
Gorgeous
It's actually not windy.
Nope. First time
sunny.
in 2 months. Yep. First time in 3 weeks.
So we've got a little bit of the cabin fever.
Yep, well,
spring fever.
Because we're stuck in the studio.
Some kind of fever.
But if I'm going to be stuck in a studio, I wouldn't want to be stuck with anyone else but my co-partner, Angela Cheney here, and just telling you guys about this engaging life thing.
Isn't co-partner redundant?
You know it.
Okay.
You know what I am? Redundant.
Ridiculous.
I am ridiculous.
Okay, so we're on the CVJ, the customer value journey. We are on this journey together. We started out the journey last week with step 1.
2 weeks ago.
But you're right.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
Because we'll have one in between there.
Correct.
So.
Yes, 2 weeks. Thank you for that. So 2 weeks ago, if you have watched and or listened to it, you know that we talked about awareness. If you have not, I would suggest you go watch it first.
In this case scenario, since we're on a journey, you don't want to show up mid-journey.
Correct.
You don't want to jump in.
But just in case you do, I'll recap it real quick. Awareness is basically making sure that people know where you are. So when we're talking about your customers or your prospects, they obviously have to be aware of your products and services before they can buy them, right?
Sounds simple.
And they also have to kind of know who you are, and you have to know who you are. So that's awareness. It's your website, your brand, make sure you have everything consistent, make sure you know who your target audience is. All of those are part of the CVJ step 1. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, me being me, I had to get into the personal and try to apply it to relationships because that's what I like. So kind of said that if we likened it to the beginning of a romantic relationship, if you were ready to go find a partner, you have to first meet people, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to make sure they're aware that you're single and ready to mingle.
Hey,
yeah.
On the open market,
yeah,
there it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And that too, you have to be aware of who you are looking for, and be very consistent with how you are presenting yourself. Because if you went and told this group that you're go to Bible study every Sunday, and you went and told this group that you're out partying and don't believe in God, 2 very, very different things that you're putting out there. You don't know who you are.
I was going to say, you got to be careful with the partying because I have a Bible study and I do party.
That's why I added the second part. I added the second part.
Okay, that's good.
I should have said out partied on Sunday morning instead of going to church. There we go.
Partied on Sunday morning.
You know, why not? 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
I went to church Saturday night.
There you go. I actually know people who do that. But
me, you know me.
You don't go to church Saturday night, do you?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, all the time. Liz plays piano.
Oh, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the bar?
Sometimes. Huh? Liz went out with some friends.
What time is church on Saturday?
5 p.m.
Early.
You can't go before sundown. And I know what you're thinking.
I wasn't thinking anything.
The sun's not always down at 5. But at one point in the year, it is.
Right. So they have to make it consistent.
Correct. So you have to go at 5. Otherwise, it does not count for your Sunday.
How long does it last?
An hour.
An hour. Interesting.
Catholic church, Catholics, an hour. And you've never seen more angry Catholics than when it goes over an hour, because it's like, we scheduled this.
It's like Rotary.
For 1 hour. Yes. The guys
totally get up and leave. It's fantastic. Yep. I love it.
No, but then there are other churches though, and it's like a 2-hour service.
Whew, that's dedication.
I'm not a fan.
Yep.
Well, I've never been to one, so I don't know if I'm a fan.
Yeah.
It does not sound like I would enjoy it.
Probably not. So there was our recap, in case you do not want to go back, but there was some good stuff in that first one, so you probably should. So now we're moving on to the second step of the CVJ. And in total, there are 6 steps. So
We've got 12 weeks ahead of us.
We do. And you have to go through all of them if you want to create brand advocates. And that's the goal of the end of the CVJ. It's a goal of us as a marketing company is we're developing raving fans at the end who are out there selling your products or services for you. And you don't even have to pay them.
Wow.
So that's not the end goal of a romantic relationship because that's called being a pimp. If that's what happens at the end there.
Paid you. You didn't have to pay them.
Yeah, there's really not a
great analogy there, but I get it.
No. I'm saying if they're out there singing your praises and trying to get more people, they're a pimp. They're not your partner. Got it?
I think
but
you have the
but there is money.
Up.
But there's money.
Because the pimp would be the marketing company and then the raving fans would be
the customer. Oh.
So we're not comparing.
No, that's not
CVJ.
There are not 6 steps really in the relationship. We'll have to come up with something different. I'm sure I'll come up with something to equate that down the road.
Oh, this is a good show.
This is a good one. Okay. So step 2 in the CVJ is about engagement, which is my favorite because we are the Engaging Life podcast.
That's right. It's
my book is Engagement Equity.
Yes, it is.
And that's what we base our business on is using engagement equity. So step 2, engage, is my favorite part. And I think it's one of the steps that we really excel at. It's really where we hang our hat as a marketing company is the engagement. And so engaging with your target market means getting them into a conversation. It means getting them to talk with you. It means piquing their interest. It means encouraging them to take the next step to get to know you more. Ooh. Did you notice what word I did not use in there?
Nope.
Selling.
Oh.
Engaging is not selling. No. And it is not promoting yourself. It is not bragging. It is not even really talking about yourself at all.
This is why I don't do Facebook posts very often because I'm a salesman.
And so if you are fans of marketing, I'm sure you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
I do.
Yes. And so one of his first books and arguably one of his best was Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it's pretty much the same as what engagement equity is. So your jabs, jab, 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 there's 3 of them, is your engaging content. It's starting the conversation. It's giving them useful hints and tips. It's all of that good stuff. And what you're doing is setting them up for the right hook, which is the sale, which I think is kind of a brutal, analogy, which I like the nicey nice of engagement equity better. You're putting deposits into their bank before you do a withdrawal, rather, who wants to punch out their clients. But
you've done sales before.
It's Gary, and he makes it work. But it's that same thing. You're basically warming them up to sell to them because the thing is, you're a business, you're selling something. So when you're talking to people and engaging them, if they're shocked when you ask them to buy something from you, they might have been living in a cave.
Yeah.
About how this whole thing works. So engagement is basically creating content that's useful, entertaining, and informative. And you can do this in person too if you're at trade shows, handing out useful things rather than a sales sheet. But for the most part, we're talking about businesses who likely are not interacting with all of their target prospects in person. Okay. Because that's very hard to do unless you only have a handful of clients, which if you have very high net worth, it's possible, but not common, common.
But I feel this journey, it's reaching further. It's like once you have that room, you want to reach further.
Right.
So you would never. So I think it is common.
No, I'm saying it's not common for somebody to only have 3 clients.
Yes.
That's their whole business.
No.
Because most of us can't make money that way. Mm-mm. But so this is a lot about online marketing. And because what you're trying to do is engage with people you can't see. And you don't know their names. And you don't know their pain points. And, these are things you don't know. And so, of course, we always talk about the platinum rule when we talk about engagement equity, which is treat others.
Oh, you're going to let me. Okay,
I'm going to let you do it.
You're going to take it.
I'm going to let you do it.
Treat others the way they want to be treated.
And you can't do that if you don't know people. And so we have to do some generalizations. when it comes to marketing. And that's why I did a whole show on the avatars, creating avatars, which is basically a sample of your target market. So even though you're not going to be able to know what Dick Marshall in Ohio wants or to be treated like, you will know that, well, my avatar of Dick Marshall, which is a 50-year-old man who lives in the Midwest and has 3 kids and lives in the suburbs, you can kind of get to know this is what this target market likes. This is how they like to be talked to. This is how they like to be marketed to. This is the type of useful, informative content that they would like and that they will likely engage with. Okay. So it's just kind of a representation is what we're looking for.
Of course.
So some examples of how you can do this. Social media content is great. So keep in mind that social media content and social media ads are 2 different things. Social media content is basically your free stuff. It's your posts. Okay. And you can boost them, so you can put money into them. We don't recommend that because ads have really taken the place of that. Boosting has very few purposes
Do they still
anymore.
offer it?
They do.
Oh.
They do. It works in very select scenarios, but we don't usually do it anymore. We do ads. They're a lot more effective. So your content is just what you're posting. And most businesses do it wrong. I would say the vast majority
I was going to
of
say, you're being nice when you say most.
do it wrong. Yep. What do?
They do a couple things. One, they put out specials. Right. Or they like to take withdrawals. Hey, we're doing a special. Hey, come have the best burger in town. It's here.
Yeah.
It's at our place.
Yep.
They let's see. They do a lot of asking, don't they? Like they want a lot from the people. They don't give them.
Right. They're promoting themselves. Yep. They're talking about themselves, why they're the best, why you should come to them, why you should shop there. And that does work in some scenarios, like online shops, like boutiques, stuff like that. I really don't want to hear about fashion trends from the 20s. I want to see what you got and how much it costs. Yes. So, that's different. But for the most part, we're talking about not even service related people. They could be selling goods as well. But they need to use their social media content to engage. So they could do jokes. They could do memes to get people to share them. They could do tips. Tips and tricks are great. Or did you know, something about their industry. It doesn't even have to be about their industry. It could be, did you know 10 years ago on this day in Omaha, it rained 72 inches and drowned all the rats. I mean, something that people are like, huh. And what you're really trying to do, likes are good, but you're really trying to get them to share and to comment is really what gets things gets things shown more on Facebook to more people. Okay. So a like is worth a little, comment is worth a little more, a share is worth a lot.
That's the jackpot.
Yes. And it's unlikely people are going to share straight up promotions. But, they can. If you're doing like an open house and people think other people should go to it or something like that, it can, but you have to build up to that. If it's just promotion after promotion after promotion, people are going to tune out because they come on Facebook to be social. People are not coming there to be sold to, it works if you do it right.
Yeah,
I am the prime. Oh my gosh, I buy so much stuff now because Facebook knows me.
Oh,
and they know what to show me. And boy, if I think I'm going on shopping restriction, I better not get on Facebook because
hand in hand.
They read my mind. They're like, oh.
Do you know one time I was mad because I wanted to remember something, so I searched it a couple times, and then the algorithm didn't keep it in front of me, and I realized a few months later I was like, oh man,
it's like the worst. Like the one time, and then you can never find it.
Yep.
I have actually searched other things because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
The one thing, hoping it would bring it back around again. I'm like, the one time I wanted to go back to that. Now it's gone.
Damn.
Yeah. So, different things to relate to in content. Videos are great. So maybe little how-tos. So as Dan, my business partner, he always has his little wordisms that he likes, in the weeds, things like that. So one of his is giving away the special sauce.
Oh.
Which means telling someone how to do it and then they won't need you, which I don't believe in, because for the most part, you're going to tell people how to do it. Even if they can do it, they probably won't.
I open my sprinklers using a YouTube video, but I do not close them because I do not own a compressor. Strong enough to do that. So I think they're the things that you're comfortable doing and you've learned, because YouTube's phenomenal, or then you'll do. But I also believe there's consistency. See, I open my sprinklers once a year, where I think other people will see a tip on marketing. Okay, like maybe they're listening to this podcast. Oh, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but will you do it every single day consistently? Because this whole journey, if you're not consistent within this whole journey, or you go from 1 to 5 step, it's not going to be the same results.
Right. You can also, one thing that I love, one little trick, it's not even a trick, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but is to show someone how to do something or tell someone how to do something that is kind of part of your business. It's something you do, but you certainly don't want a customer that only does that. You want the bigger picture. So a good example of this would be like a pest control company. Okay. And so they could do a post on how to get rid of a fly who's, I mean, flies bug people. I'm pretty sure most pest control companies do not want to get a call about getting rid of a fly.
You are correct.
Okay. So you could have some, put this vinegar here or whatever it is. And then they're going to remember them. So when they have a vole or when they have an ant infestation or a bunch of wasp nests, which they are not going to try and take care of on their own, I hope. We've tried.
I'll take on a wasp.
I mean, Todd.
I ain't scared of wasps.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Then they will call it the company. So, we'll do tips and tricks on marketing all the time because there are some things companies can do on their own. And if that's all they want to do, we don't want them as a client.
Right.
They can do it on their own. It's better for them to do it on their own. Now, if that's kind of working for them or it's not working for them and they want to do more, then they come to us.
Well, and it makes you the expert too, because you're giving the tips and tricks.
Yep. Another thing you can do is to capitalize on trends. So this is like your TikTok stuff and your Reels stuff. They seem silly, but people watch them.
I know.
People watch them, and they don't even really have to have anything to do with your business.
I want to be the person that tests the trends, but there's too many trend testers. I think it's a saturated market.
Yeah. If you do it right and you do it consistently.
Well, there's 2 things I probably won't.
Yep, and that's really why most people succeed. Not because they don't know the idea. It's because they're not willing to put the time and effort into doing it consistently.
Consistency.
It is. And it's not even about talent, Have you noticed that? It's the people who are the biggest successes are not the most talented people.
Well, who's the one dude that didn't even talk? Like he'll show a video of somebody doing all these things to remove, and then he's like, "Well, look, I just pulled it out. Like you can just remove it." He became famous. And he didn't say a single word. All he did was debunk the stupid trends.
Yeah.
And be like, well, you could just do this instead.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's about consistency and effort and staying out there.
Yep.
And that is what most people don't do. They get interested in something. And by most people, I put myself solidly in this category.
I already have.
Get interested in something and all excited about it. And then either something else captures your attention. You realize it's too hard. You don't have time for it. You lose interest in it. It's those things that keep people from doing things. And I think it's the perseverance is about after the excitement is done and you're kind of on this and you want the next new shiny thing. It's learning how to ride that wave.
Oh, yeah.
And being okay with that downtime. It's just going to be hard work here for a while. And this is where I struggle as a writer. I'm a fiction writer. And I love when I have a new idea for a book. I love the beginnings of it. And then you get into that, oh God, this is work now. I have to go back and edit it. Yeah. I have to go back and make sure this makes sense. That's not fun.
No.
And I've got it in my head that being a writer is going to be fun all the time. And if it's not, maybe I'm not cut out for it, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Nothing can be fun all the time.
Nope.
So kind of off topic there, but I don't think so. Not as off topic as
on the engaging life.
No, of course not. It's all on topic. So What's the goal? What's the goal here of getting people to engage with you?
Is that you're asking me?
Sure.
Oh, well, we said shares are good, right? But I think the engagement kind of goes back to the visibility. They know who you are, they know what you do, and you're going to be top of mind for when they need that.
Right. It's basically just getting them to take that next little step. So you know that I can't stop with business, right?
Right.
Right. So I have to go into, relationships and we already talked about making yourself visible when you're trying to start a new relationship because you can't go out there and find men or women if they don't know you exist.
That's right.
My daughter's going through this right now. She really wants a boyfriend. She's 16 and does not like any of the boys in her school. And so we are constantly working on her visibility, which means we go everywhere where we think cute boys are.
Do you go to the coffee houses?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then the visibility works and it's like, what the hell do you do next? Go up and introduce yourself to a random straight, hi, you're cute. She is the master of slipping boys her number, though.
Oh,
so far, that has not worked.
No callbacks?
No callbacks yet.
Okay.
But she's trying to keep her numbers up.
So it's funny you say this. Isabel, who's only 10, she did get her first boyfriend. And she's been talking about it. School just ended, and he's moving to Texas. So we're at lunch, and she goes, yeah, so he's moving to Texas. That was a short boyfriend, I guess. Like
long distance is great at 10. They can't touch her.
Then
encourage that.
Yeah,
encourage that.
Like that.
Good 4 years. That'd be a nice 4-year
keep it strong for the
relationship.
4 more years.
Yes. So not being my daughter, if you are an adult and you are ready to be out there and you've already gotten your visibility, so you've gone to the places where the people you want to meet are, they know who you are, they know your name, and now it's time to start engaging. And that can be with multiple people, to kind of figure out who you want to start a relationship with or I don't even know why I said is there, but it just came out. Or it can be one person. You kind of settle on one person. This is the person I really want to get to know. I was of the multiple variety. I'm like, hey, if I get 3 or 4 on the line, I can kind of compare and contrast, which I thought was perfectly fine.
It's good to have options.
But then I would go on one date with some guy and he'd be like, I have to tell you, I can only date one person at a time and I've chosen Becky. And I'm just like,
you got
okay. We went on one date.
Oh, I am crushed. I thought, I guess I'll put this wedding ring away. I was just going to
I'm just like, and good luck to you.
Yeah, go Becky.
Anyway, so you've decided, let's say one person, you like this guy and you can only date Becky. So you've decided, this is the person I'm going to engage with. So how would you do that? How would you engage with this new person? Let's say you've not been on a date with them yet. You met them at a bar. Okay. You slipped them your number.
Okay.
They engaged or they slipped you your number, whichever way it happened.
Okay.
But you are now in, let's say, phone contact. You have each other's phone numbers.
So simplistically, don't you have to reach out to them?
Right. So what do you do? Keep it light and keep it interesting. Mm-hmm. So like we were talking about with the businesses, not the time to sell yourself.
Yep.
So you really want to, back when I was dating, the guys I like the best are the ones who started out with being funny, being light, being, just a good time to be around, a good person to talk to. The ones who got really heavy really quickly and really wanted to go deep in, I was like,
yeah. Yep.
It was, and the ones who really tried to get to know you too quickly too, that was the guy who only wanted to date Becky.
Oh.
Every time I got a text from him, it was like a deep question about me.
Oh my gosh.
And then also he responded back with like you could tell that whatever I said, he went and researched it really quick so that he could say something about it.
So he wanted to be interesting, not interested.
Yeah. But then I could tell he was, I remember he asked me what one of my favorite songs was or something, and it was super obscure. And so I said it, and it took a minute, and then he came back, oh, is this by this artist or this artist? Like he went and found them all.
Wow.
And I was just like,
that's weird.
That is. So don't do that.
Thanks. I
yeah.
hope I don't have to be in
Now's
the dating
not
game
the time
soon.
to make the sale. Now is the time to get those messages out. Find a little bit more about them, but really encourage that back and forth. Mm-hmm. The best relationships start when of course, it's never going to be 50-50, but you're both talking. You're both getting to know each other. It's not a bleh, and it's not a question. Because because that's what he was doing. I'm like, I know nothing about you, and you now know all the stuff about me. The only stuff I know about you is what you've researched to make it seem like you like the same stuff I do.
So he was the,
which is icky.
What the mimic,
yeah.
right? Like, that's not the word I'm looking for. But when you date someone and they just everything you do, they do now.
Yeah.
And all your friends are now their friends.
That's
I don't
kind
like
of what
that.
it seemed like.
You gotta have your own life.
Apparently Becky liked it. So he went that direction.
Or maybe he liked Becky's lifestyle over yours.
That could very well be. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter because obviously I ended up in the place where I needed to be.
That's
right. But definitely a back and forth. Now, again, this didn't really have to happen in my marriage because we started out as friends. So we didn't have to do this. We now have each other's numbers when we want to date. We were able to circumvent that.
Oh, yeah.
By having a friendship first. But I have dated before. I did not get married to my lovely husband, Todd, until I was in my 40s. So I had a long and an illustrious past.
Oh, man.
Lots of stuff to draw from. Mostly don't do. I've got lots of nice don't do stories for my daughter. That's good. Don't do this. Don't do that. She'll ask me, Mom, did you ever? I'm like, probably. Don't do it. Don't. Yeah. So what are some don'ts? Obviously, don't floodlight. Floodlight is a Brene Brown term where you basically share everything about yourself way too quickly. And it is an attempt to, share something of yourself. It is an attempt to connect. But it fails.
Yep.
But it can also be an attempt to manipulate.
Ooh.
So depending on where it's coming from, to hotwire a relationship, it can be very manipulative. It's like if I suck them in enough and make them feel part of my pain, they can't go away.
Oh, wow.
It can be.
Yeah.
Other times it's just kind of sad because either one. Now, I have floodlighted before, and it has been, I don't remember this poor guy's name, but I met him. I think we talked once, and then my grandpa died.
Oh, no.
And I went home for the funeral. I came back. I was completely alone. I had a roommate. She was gone with her boyfriend or something. I was alone in the house, and I was just a mess. And so guess the only person I had to talk to was this poor guy.
Yeah.
Boy, guess how long that lasted. There was a crying, sobbing, blubbering phone call from me. I don't remember what he said or did, but I never talked to him again.
Oh, so you lost your grandpa and a boyfriend.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Business-wise, the floodlighting. So when I was getting into the healthcare space, went to a big event and was basically introduced, my first time being introduced face-to-face to a doctor, not in an office, like, hey, I'm in a network setting. This is my gig. I know how to do this. And I word vomited all over him so much. And it wasn't, like everything I talk about here, I practice personally. Like I'm pretty strong on it. I talked about myself. I didn't even listen to what they had to say. And it was just that mentality of I'm going to get this because here we are. And I reflect back on it. I'm glad it's out of my system now because I'm never going to do it again. But I apologize for it because it's like, hey, thanks for trusting me and introducing me to the people that you know. I promise I won't ever just
do that again.
Floodlight them again.
Mm-hmm.
And she my coworker's like, oh, it's fine. You did fine. I'm like, oh no. At one point I did that out of body looking at myself.
Like, what is going on? Stop it.
And then I couldn't stop. Because once you start, you're just,
yeah. Then what do you do?
Yeah. Well, I went to the bar. I got a drink after that.
I think that you probably had a drink before that too.
Not enough. Nope, not enough to say that was okay.
Everybody has done it. So all these things are like, don't ever do this. We're probably saying that because we've done it.
Absolutely.
And everybody has made these mistakes, but it's always good to talk about it. The other one's play it coy. Again, I had one that did this where he was like a constant texter, and he would text me and I would go into a meeting or I'd have to take my daughter somewhere or something and wouldn't respond during that time because I was busy. And every time, and once I started to pick up on it, I started to test him. If I wouldn't text back for an hour and 15 minutes, he would then not respond to my next message for the exact amount of time that it took me.
Crazy.
I was just like, this is sick.
That's gross.
Number one, you have nothing better to do than to act. Are you actually setting your timer?
I was going to say, I would forget.
When I start. I mean, it was so, and it was every single time. It was just every time I did something that made him mad, he would turn around and do the exact same thing to me. Anyway, so that's not even coy. That's manipulative and terrible.
Yeah.
So, don't do that.
Don't.
And then this is the same thing. Don't ask for the sale right away. Don't ask for the date right away. You get somebody's number, don't text them, want to go out sometime. It's warm it up a little bit. Make sure you got some things in common. Make sure they don't send you a bad picture. Do a little testing of the waters because, a date's a pretty big commitment. It's an entire evening. You're trapped there with them. I mean, I've ran away from some dates, but some are harder than others. If you're a nice person, you stay throughout the whole thing. And then you're committed to telling them you don't want to see them again if they like you, or the awkward, neither of us likes each other. So it's a commitment. So it's always good to get, a few days, it can even be weeks of texting back and forth, maybe a phone call here or there before the actual ask for the date.
Okay. This is in line, but a little off topic. Okay. I'm curious because this has come up twice in the last month. It's one of the business sites. So did a golf outing. And one of the whole sponsors got along real well. I did a scramble by myself. It's a whole nother story in itself. But basically, I had a fun day of golfing. And so I would let the whole sponsor swing. I'm like, hey, you want to take a swing? I'll use it if it's good. Great swing. He did great.
You asked him to go out with you?
No, he had texted me by the time I got to I used his shot because it was better than my two. But by the time I got to that ball, he had texted me.
What did he text you?
Hey, great meeting you. I really think we have some good opportunity. Yeah. So I saw it on my watch and I was like, oh, wow. That is really desperate there.
I'm hoping it's because he was drinking and he was saying, if I don't text him right away, I will forget.
Oh, no, not the way the text came. And then the other one was, so I worked a conference last week with my cohort, Marky, and we had somebody that very much fits the space we want to be in. So somebody we'd like to connect with. And Marky committed to emailing her, right? So we got her card. She wasn't even to the next booth. And Marky's like, okay, I just sent the email.
Oh, no.
I know. And I said, whoa, Haas, like, slow it down. Don't look desperate. And she goes, well, I just didn't want to forget. And I go, I get that. But you need to make a note then, because if that just popped up on her watch, and I had just experienced it, I was like, it's just really too much too fast. And and she wasn't asking for the sale. And truly, it was like, hey, great meeting him. But I think you got to have a cool down period. And especially at a conference, I've done so many conferences. Who I just met, you're the last thing I'm thinking of now, because now I'm moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I love a day or two. And here's why I love the day or two, because I've already forgotten. You remembered.
It's a good reminder.
You came up a day or so later. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm now back in my space at my office. So it's funny. You talk about this, and it finally put into words how I felt about those two situations of the last. Because I'm like, well, gosh, maybe I'm wrong. What if this guy that texts me on the whole is like killing it, and here I am putting a day in between? But no, I'm comfortable with the.
No, I don't think so.
The time in between.
Yeah, it gives time for thought.
Yes.
It's not desperate.
Yeah. I think desperation is something that I was taught as a salesperson. They can smell it.
Yeah.
Like garlic on your breath. So really take a breath, shut your mouth.
Right. Make whatever note you need to if you think you're going to forget, whatever note you need to remind yourself, or even like in Marky's case, put it in a draft email so that when you pull up your phone.
I could
Or you can schedule.
Send it later. Yeah, she said she could schedule it. And mind you, the beautiful thing is she came from managing healthcare clinics. So in her world, it was boom, 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 you go. So it's been fun teaching her kind of sales things, because she catches it like that. But it's a different environment. Yeah. Different environment that she's not used to.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, do you have anything else to add to our little program on CVJ Step 2, Engage?
So I find, and we'll talk about this in my next episode, this is one of those that you can spend a lot of time in or a short amount of time in. It all depends who the person is.
It really does.
But especially what we touched on, kind of these last few points are probably the most important, because mainly you're going to build a stronger relationship by taking the don'ts and the tips and tricks. Because maybe you stand out a little. Or if you don't stand out, you fit the persona that they want to work with.
Right. So, definitely.
So that'd be my thoughts.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brandon, for joining me.
Absolutely.
And thank you to all of our, it's true. Listeners and or viewers, we really appreciate you. Please like, share, do all the fantastic stuff that you do on a podcast. Leave us a review. Hopefully a good one.
Hope's not a plan. Leave us a great review.
Yes.
Because you're ready to go take on the day.
And thank you all, and we will talk to you next time.